Welcome to another edition of Tremendous Job Interview Questions, Strong Advice for Hiring Managers. I'm Jim Roddy, president of Jameson Publishing and author of the book, Hire Like You Just Beat Cancer. Today's tremendous interview question is, tell me about the kinds of deadlines you struggled with in a prior job or in your current job. I've made some notes on the whiteboard here that I'd like to share with you. But the first thing I want to say is, this question isn't so much about deadlines. You'll see as we get into it, it's going to reveal a lot of the attitudes and initiative that you would look for in a quality candidate. So the first point, do they speak candidly about their shortcomings? I mean, who among us hasn't missed a deadline? I know I have. I haven't met a person who hasn't missed one yet. And every candidate should have a story for you about a time that they missed a deadline. You shouldn't just interview for success stories. Tell me about a time you succeeded at this. Tell me about a time you won at this. Tell me about a time you accomplished something great. You want them to talk about their failings because if they come on board with you, you're going to want to deal with the failings and the shortcomings of your business and of that person individually so they can improve. And so when you ask this question, you'll find out, does the person actually candidly speak and talk about their failings? Do they speak about it with humility? Boy, I really screwed up. That was my bad. Or do they sugarcoat it and rationalize it really wasn't that bad of a problem? What kind of attitude, what kind of approach do you want in your company? Somebody who quickly uncovers failings and goes to work on them, or somebody who sugarcoats them or ignores them? The second point, do they overcome the obstacle? Do they solve the problem, or do they just accept it as a shortcoming? Hey, I'm not good at making deadlines, so what are you going to do about it? Let me tell you an example about a candidate who we interviewed for a position on our operations side of our business. We had asked them about different changes at their company, and they said, we used to work on flex time, now everybody has to come into work on time in the morning. She said, I'm really struggling with that. Had to be there at 8:30 and said, I haven't been able to make it there on time. So we thought, well, maybe there's something in her life that's causing her not to be able to make it there. For example, having to drop off the kids at school. But she said, no, that wasn't the case. She just simply wouldn't get up in the morning, wouldn't get in there on time, and what are you going to do about it? And so we talked to her about, geez, how long has this been going on for? Oh, over 6 months. So this is somebody who had an obstacle, they knew it was a problem, they talked about how poorly it reflected on their company and the trouble that it caused on the staff that she wasn't there on time, but she still didn't overcome the obstacle despite realizing that. So there are various ways to overcome a deadline-related obstacle. The best is that somebody puts in a foolproof system, not just I'll try harder, but do they do things like put an alert on their computer or an alert on their smartphone so an alarm goes off and reminds them what to do? Do they have an annual schedule that they put together? If there's a job that's supposed to be done every year in May, do they put together some sort of system that alerts them in April that the job has to be done? Or do they keep a schedule and try to get themselves organized in order to make sure that they're maximizing their time appropriately and achieving those deadlines? Okay, so those first two we're talking about initiative to overcome an obstacle and speaking candidly. So the third point is right in the heart of deadlines. Do they understand the importance of deadlines? A lot of times people rationalize why the deadline wasn't important. Well, the project wasn't actually due until whenever, but they gave me this deadline of a few days ahead of time. It was really a phony deadline, so it wasn't that important. Or the better answer you want is, does somebody kind of break out in hives if they're going to miss a deadline? Is there something internally, something about how they're mapped that if they don't hit a deadline, oh, they're just going to go crazy until they do make that deadline? Also, there's a thing about, do they care about their coworkers? Do they understand that them missing a deadline might not be a lot of grief on their part, but it causes grief for a lot of other people? That's the kind of person who you want to hire. Again, somebody who has that internal mechanism that they want to hit a deadline, and they're also concerned about other people and say, geez, if I do turn this in late, I know I'm going to cause extra work for so-and-so, and I don't want to do that. That's not the right thing to do. An example of our production managers here at Jameson Publishing, when we interviewed them, they gave us lots of stories about having to push back against other people who wanted to slide past a deadline, who wanted to work slowly for the customer. Hey, if the customer has to wait a couple days, no big deal. I've got other things I need to do. And they talked about the systems they put in place, the convincing they had to do, the extra work that they had to do in order to make sure that they hit those deadlines. They told us those stories in the interview process, and in the many years they've been working for us, guess what? They make their deadlines, and if they get close to missing a deadline, they put in a system that makes it more effective so they can serve our customers better and serve their coworkers better. Well, that's all the time that we have for today, and that was just one of 258 tremendous interview questions from my book, Hire Like You Just Beat Cancer. For more information on hiring best practices or to order a copy of the book, please visit our website at www.hirelikeyoujustbeatcancer.com. Thank you so much for watching and happy hiring!